Hey, 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 welcome back to Learn English Naturally. I am Emma.
Hey everyone, Ethan here, and today's topic is a personal favorite of mine.
Oh, yeah? What are we talking about today?
My daily routine, describing your everyday life in clear, natural English.
Oh, this is such a classic topic, honestly.
It really is, and yet so many learners still struggle with it.
Why do you think that is?
Because it feels too simple to study, but too hard to actually say smoothly.
Right, like everyone assumes they already know it.
Exactly. Until someone asks, so what's a typical day like for you?
And suddenly it's just, I wake up and then things happen.
Things happen. The most detailed daily routine ever recorded.
Groundbreaking storytelling, honestly.
But today, we're fixing that completely.
We're giving you the exact structure, the vocabulary, and tons of live practice.
By the end of this episode, describing your day will feel completely natural.
Whether it's a job interview, a new friend, or just small talk at work.
So, what's your day usually look like will never scare you again.
We'll also do our vocabulary breakdown near the end, as always.
But first, your turn in the comments, right now.
Complete this sentence. The hardest part of my day to describe in English is...
Be honest, be specific, we read every single comment.
Mine is definitely mornings. I'm basically speechless before coffee, in any language.
Same, honestly. Mornings deserve their own separate lesson entirely.
Ethan, quick question before we start. Is this useful beyond just small talk?
Absolutely. This comes up in interviews, dating conversations, even doctor's visits.
Doctor's visits?
Walk me through a typical day is a common question in health checkups, too.
I never thought about that, honestly.
It shows up everywhere, which is exactly why it's worth mastering properly.
Does it come up in kids' school conversations, too?
Constantly. What did you do today is one of the first questions children learn.
So this topic really does start early and never really goes away.
Exactly. From childhood all the way through adult small talk. Forever.
No escaping it, apparently.
Not at all. So we might as well master it today.
Okay, I'm fully convinced. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Grab a coffee or tea and settle in. This one's a big episode.
A big, useful episode. Let's begin properly now.
Okay, Ethan, let's talk about why this specific topic matters so much.
Because it's honestly one of the most common conversation topics that exists.
More common than people expect?
Constantly common. What do you usually do in the morning? How's your week going?
So it's not a rare, special topic. It's everyday conversation fuel.
Exactly. Which means practicing it pays off constantly, not occasionally.
What tense does this whole topic actually rely on?
Mostly the simple present tense, since routines repeat regularly.
So I wake up, not I woke up, unless describing one specific day.
Exactly. Simple present for regular habits, simple past for one specific event.
Why do learners still stumble even knowing that tense rule?
Because knowing a rule and speaking fluently under pressure are different skills entirely.
I agree. That distinction keeps coming up in almost every episode we do.
Because it's true almost every single time, honestly.
So what's actually missing for most learners here?
Sequencing words, the little words that connect one action to the next.
Like then and after that?
Exactly those, and a handful of others we'll cover today.
So it's not vocabulary that's missing, it's connection between ideas.
Precisely. Without connectors, routines sound like a list, not a story.
Give me an example of that difference.
I wake up, I eat breakfast, I go to work. Versus,
Versus what?
first, I wake up. Then, I eat breakfast. After that, I head to work.
Wow, the second version genuinely sounds like a real person talking.
Exactly. Small connector words completely transform how natural it sounds.
Does this matter for writing too, not just speaking?
Absolutely. Emails, journals, even essays benefit from the exact same connectors.
So this is really a universal English skill, not just a speaking trick.
Exactly. One skill useful across speaking, writing, and even listening comprehension.
Listening comprehension too? How does that work?
Once you know these connectors, you recognize the structure when others speak too.
So it helps you predict what's coming next in a conversation.
Exactly. Understanding structure improves both producing and receiving language.
I love how one small idea keeps unlocking bigger benefits.
That's honestly the beauty of foundational language skills like this one.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's build the full structure now.
Let's do it, piece by piece.
I genuinely can't wait to get into the actual words now.
Let's move right into it, starting with sequencing words.
All right, Ethan, give us the first sequencing word.
First, well, first itself, obviously.
Fitting choice for the first word, honestly.
Had to start somewhere. First, I check my phone.
Simple, clear, sets the beginning of the sequence.
Next word, then, the most common connector of all.
Then I make coffee.
Perfect. And you can use then multiple times in one routine.
Even repeatedly without sounding repetitive?
That's fine occasionally, but let's add variety too for smoother flow.
Give me another one.
After that, slightly more formal than then, but very natural.
After that, I get dressed and leave the house.
Exactly right. Next, before, used for something happening earlier.
Give an example of that one.
Before I leave the house, I always check the weather.
So before flips the order, mentioning the later action first.
Exactly. It adds nice variety to how you sequence events.
What about later in the day or near the end of a routine?
Later and eventually work beautifully for that.
Later in the day, I usually go for a walk.
Perfect. And to close a full routine, use finally or at the end of the day.
Finally, I go to bed around 11.
Exactly. And now you have a complete toolkit of sequencing words.
What about frequency words, like how often something happens?
Great point. Usually, normally, sometimes, and occasionally all work well.
I usually wake up at 7, but sometimes I sleep in.
Perfect example. That single sentence shows both a habit and an exception.
What about meanwhile? I hear that used sometimes too.
Good one. Meanwhile describes something happening at the same time as something else.
I make breakfast while meanwhile my partner walks the dog.
Perfect. And it adds a nice sense of two things happening together.
What about a word for something happening right away, immediately?
Right after or immediately after both work perfectly for that.
Right after I wake up, I drink a glass of water.
Exactly. Small, precise words that make the timing crystal clear.
I genuinely feel ready to describe an entire day now.
Let's actually do it, live, right now.
I love how many small tools we've collected already.
And we're only just getting started with the vocabulary, too.
Before we describe full routines, let's cover some essential vocabulary first.
Great idea. Let's start with the morning specifically.
Give us some morning phrases.
To wake up, to get out of bed, to get ready.
Simple, essential, used constantly in daily routine talk.
Also, to brush my teeth and to get dressed.
What about the phrase for eating in the morning?
To have breakfast or simply to grab breakfast more casually.
Grab breakfast sounds so relaxed, honestly.
Exactly. Native speakers love that casual, quick version.
What about heading to work or school?
To commute or to head out, both work perfectly there.
I commute by bus every morning.
Exactly right. Now let's move into afternoon vocabulary.
Go ahead.
To take a lunch break, to run errands, to catch up on emails.
What does run errands actually mean exactly?
Small tasks outside the house, like shopping or picking something up.
So it's a phrase covering several small tasks at once.
Exactly. Very efficient, very common in everyday conversation.
Now, evening vocabulary?
To wind down, to unwind, to relax after a long day.
Those phrases sound so peaceful, honestly.
They're meant to. Evenings deserve gentle vocabulary.
And finally, bedtime phrases.
To turn in early, to call it a night, to head to bed.
Call it a night is such a lovely, casual phrase.
It really is. Very natural, very commonly used.
Are there phrases for household chores too, like cleaning?
Definitely. To tidy up, to do the dishes, to do laundry.
After dinner, I usually tidy up the kitchen.
Perfect. Chores are a huge part of most people's actual routines.
What about exercise-related phrases?
To work out, to go for a run, to hit the gym.
Hit the gym sounds so much more fun than exercise.
It really does. Casual phrases always sound more inviting somehow.
Okay, I think we have everything we need now.
Let's put it all together, live, right now.
This vocabulary list alone could fill an entire notebook page.
And every single phrase is genuinely usable starting today.
All right, Ethan, walk us through your actual daily routine.
Sure, let's do this properly, using everything we discovered. First, I wake up around 6:30, usually without an alarm. Then, I get out of bed and drink a full glass of water. After that, I go for a short walk before breakfast. Later, I have breakfast, usually something simple like eggs and toast. Before I head to work, I quickly check my messages and plan the day. During the afternoon, I usually take a short lunch break around 1. In the evening, I like to wind down by reading or going for another walk. Finally, I call it a night around 10:30 most days.
Ethan, that was genuinely beautiful, structured, and completely natural.
Thank you. Now it's your turn. Same structure.
Okay, here goes. First, I wake up around 7 and I check the weather immediately. Then I make coffee, always, no exceptions, ever. After that, I usually plan my to-do list for the day. Later, I get ready and head out for work, usually by 8:30. Before lunch, I try to finish my most important task first. During the afternoon, I take a break and often go for a short walk outside. In the evening, I usually cook dinner and sometimes call a friend. Finally, I read for a while and then head to bed around 11.
Emma, that flowed so naturally. Genuinely impressive.
It actually felt easy this time, honestly, thanks to the structure.
Kier, should we try describing a completely different kind of day too?
Like what kind?
A workday with an unusual event, like a meeting or a delay.
Ooh, let's try that.
So, first, my morning started completely normally, coffee and breakfast as usual. However, unlike a typical day, I had an early meeting at 8. Because of that meeting, I skipped my usual walk entirely. Later that morning, my schedule shifted and lunch got delayed until 2. So, overall, that particular day looked quite different from my normal routine.
See, that shows how the same structure works for unusual days too.
Exactly. Structure adapts even when the actual events change completely.
Let me try describing an unusual day too, just for practice. So, my morning started as usual, but then a package arrived unexpectedly. Because of that, I paused my work to sign it quickly. After that small interruption, I went right back to my regular schedule. So really just one small change, but the rest of the day stayed normal.
Perfect example. Small disruptions described smoothly without losing the structure.
I genuinely feel like I could describe any day now, honestly. Ethan, what about when your routine actually changes, like weekends?
Great question. And this is where frequency words become really useful.
Show us how that works.
For example, on weekdays, I wake up early, but on weekends, I usually sleep in.
So the contrast word but highlights the exception clearly.
Exactly. Contrast words are essential when describing schedule differences.
What other contrast words work well here?
However, although, and whereas all work nicely too.
I usually cook dinner, whereas on weekends we often eat out.
Perfect example. Clear contrast, very natural phrasing.
What if someone's routine genuinely varies every single day with no real pattern?
Then use "it depends" and explain the variables briefly.
It really depends on the day, but I usually try to exercise sometime.
Exactly. Honest, flexible, and still perfectly structured.
Let's practice describing a weekend routine together, live.
Let's do it. Go ahead, you start.
On weekends, I usually wake up later, around 9 or so. Unlike weekdays, I don't rush at all in the morning. Instead, I take my time with breakfast and read the news slowly. Overall, weekends feel completely different, much slower, much calmer.
Beautifully contrasted with your weekday routine from earlier.
That contrast really does make the whole description more interesting.
Should I try describing my weekend too for extra practice?
Please do, I want to hear it.
On weekends, unlike weekdays, I usually skip my alarm completely. Instead, I wake up naturally, sometimes as late as 10. Later, I make a bigger breakfast than usual since there's no rush. In the afternoon, I often meet friends, whereas weekdays leave little time for that. So, overall, weekends feel far more relaxed and much more social, too.
I love how whereas keeps showing up naturally, connecting both versions.
Exactly. Once you learn it, you start noticing chances to use it everywhere.
What about holidays or special days? Do they need different language too?
A little. Phrases like "unlike a normal day" or "on special occasions" work well.
Unlike a normal day, on holidays we usually sleep in and cook a big breakfast.
Perfect. Same structure, just adjusted slightly for the special occasion.
I really do love how flexible this whole system turns out to be.
It's honestly one simple structure, adaptable to almost any situation.
All right, I think we've covered routines from every possible angle now.
Let's move into vocabulary and lock everything in properly.
Let's do it. All right, everyone, let's break down several useful words and phrases from today.
First, to wind down.
To wind down means to relax gradually, usually near the end of the day.
You could say, she winds down every evening by reading a book.
Let's repeat it. To wind down.
To wind down.
Second, to run errands.
To run errands means completing small tasks outside the home, like shopping.
You could say, he ran errands all afternoon before heading home.
Let's repeat it. To run errands.
To run errands.
Third, to sleep in.
To sleep in means to wake up later than usual, often intentionally.
You could say, on Sundays, I always sleep in until 10.
Let's repeat it. To sleep in.
To sleep in.
Fourth, to call it a night.
To call it a night means to stop for the day and go to bed.
You could say, it's late, I think I'll call it a night.
Let's repeat it. To call it a night.
To call it a night.
Fifth, a typical day.
A typical day means a normal, ordinary day without anything unusual happening.
You could say, on a typical day, I wake up around 7.
Let's repeat it. A typical day.
A typical day.
Sixth, it depends.
It depends means the answer changes based on certain conditions or circumstances.
You could say, it depends on the weather, but I usually walk to work.
Let's repeat it. It depends.
It depends.
Seventh, whereas.
Whereas is used to compare two different things directly, showing contrast.
You could say, I work in the morning, whereas she prefers evenings.
Let's repeat it. Whereas.
Whereas.
And eighth, to hit the gym.
A casual way of saying to go exercise, usually at a fitness center.
You could say, I usually hit the gym right after work.
With 8 genuinely useful phrases, straight from today's practice, ready for you to use.
Ethan, I genuinely feel like I could describe my whole week now, confidently.
You basically already did, live earlier in this episode.
I did, and it actually sounded like a real person talking.
Because it was structured with real connectors, real vocabulary, real flow.
All right, here's your challenge for this week, everyone listening.
Describe your typical day out loud using at least 5 sequencing words.
First, then, after that, later, finally. Try weaving those in naturally.
Then try describing your weekend too, using a contrast word like whereas.
Come tell us in the comments how it went. We genuinely love reading them.
Every single comment gets read, and honestly, they make our whole week.
If today helped, share it with someone who freezes describing their own day.
They probably need this structure too, just like we all did once.
Subscribe, comment, and we'll see you in the next episode.
And here's what we want you to carry today.
Your daily life doesn't need to sound like a list of disconnected facts.
With a few small connector words, it becomes a real natural story.
So next time someone asks about your day, don't panic, just sequence it.
First, then, after that, finally, simple words, powerful results.
Ethan, one last thing before we close. Any final tip for everyone?
Yes, actually. Practice out loud, not just in your head.
Why does out loud matter so much specifically?
Because speaking activates muscles and confidence that silent thinking never touches.
So even talking to an empty room genuinely helps.
Completely. We mentioned that trick in an earlier episode, too.
It really does connect back to everything we've talked about before.
Exactly. All these small tools work together, building real fluency over time.
I love how each episode kind of builds on the last one.
That's honestly the whole goal. Small, steady steps adding up together.
All right, I think we've truly covered everything for today.
We really have. This was a big, thorough episode.
Thank you all so much for spending this time learning with us.
We genuinely appreciate every single one of you, every single episode.
Don't forget, describe your day out loud today, even just once.
First, then, After that, finally, remember the shape and just fill it in.
We can't wait to hear how it goes for you.
Truly, come share your story. We read every comment, always.
This is Emma,
This is Ethan.
signing off from Learn English Naturally.
Bye.
Keep practicing, keep describing, and go tell someone about your day today.